Add them all together, and a qualifying senior could be handing over more than $10,000 annually on bills that the law itself declares they are not required to pay. Not a reduced version of those bills, not a coupon that trims off a modest amount. The entire sum vanished every single month for one reason and one reason alone. Nobody ever informed you that you were permitted to stop. And several of these expanded just this year, in 2026, which is precisely why so many people are still paying the old way, never understanding that the rules shifted beneath them. I am not referring to a senior discount. I am referring to bills you are legally exempt from. Entirely, where the correct answer is not to pay a reduced amount, but to pay absolutely nothing at all. By the time this ends, you will know exactly which ones apply, who qualifies for them, and the single quiet error that keeps that money flowing out of your account month after month after month. Let me begin with the largest one affecting the greatest number of people, because nearly every senior enrolled in Medicare is paying this right now without ever pausing to question it. Every single month, a payment toward Medicare Part B is pulled directly out of your Social Security check before that check ever arrives in your hands. And in 2026, that figure is $222.90. Gone every single month before you ever lay eyes on it. Most people simply accept this as the unavoidable cost of having Medicare coverage. But there are programs administered by your very own state whose entire and sole purpose is to pay that premium on your behalf. They are called the Medicare Savings Programs. If your income is modest, these programs cover your Part B premium completely and return that money directly into your monthly check. That alone represents more than $2,600 annually handed right back to you. Money you are currently surrendering without ever realizing you might not actually owe it. And it does not end there. The moment you are enrolled in one of those programs, you are simultaneously and automatically enrolled in another benefit called Extra Help, which dramatically reduces what you pay for your prescription medications, a benefit the federal government itself estimates at approximately $5,700 per year. Combine the premium coverage and the prescription assistance together, and you are looking at nearly $8,000 annually from a single application through programs that the majority of people who qualify for them have never once heard mentioned by name. That is the most financially significant secret in this entire video, and it sits at the very beginning for a very deliberate reason. Let me give you the general parameters so you can assess whether this applies to your situation. The most comprehensive version is designed for a single individual whose monthly income falls below approximately $1,400, and it does not merely cover the premium, it can also address your deductibles and your co-payments on top of that. If your income runs somewhat higher, up to roughly $1,700 per month, there is still a version available that eliminates that monthly premium payment entirely. These thresholds shift slightly from year to year, and they are higher than most people tend to assume, which means the most common mistake is talking yourself out of applying before you ever pick up the telephone. You apply through your state Medicaid office or by calling Medicare directly, and I will place the official contact number in the description below so you connect with the legitimate program and not anyone posing as it. The second one is your property tax, and for anyone who owns a home, it is very frequently the single largest bill you face throughout the entire year. Nearly every state in this country provides people aged 65 and older with a mechanism to prevent that bill from ever increasing again, and in many locations a way to eliminate a substantial portion of it altogether. Some states offer what is commonly known as a senior freeze. The day you become eligible, the assessed value your home is taxed upon becomes permanently locked in place, so even as the properties surrounding you continue appreciating in value and your neighbours watch their annual bills climb steadily higher, yours remains frozen for as long as you continue living there. Other states simply remove a significant portion of your home's taxable value or place a ceiling on your tax bill at a small percentage of your income. In certain locations, the savings exceed $1,000 annually every single year for the remainder of your time in that home, which accumulates into tens of thousands of dollars across a lifetime. But here is the critical catch, and it is a genuinely frustrating one, so pay close attention. This benefit is almost never applied automatically. You are required to file for it yourself, typically during the year you reach the qualifying age. And if you allow that window to close, that particular year is permanently forfeited, and most states will not restore it retroactively. The savings represent genuine money in real communities. In Texas, for example, the school district tax freeze alone can spare a homeowner thousands of dollars annually, and it carries no income requirement whatsoever. Your age alone is sufficient to qualify. In several other states, there exists an exemption that simply subtracts a substantial fixed dollar amount from the value your home is assessed at before any tax rate is ever calculated and applied. The precise program varies according to your state and your county, but the underlying pattern remains consistently identical. There is a qualifying age, typically 60 or 65. There is sometimes an income requirement and sometimes none at all. And in absolutely every case, you must initiate the application yourself, because your county does not monitor your birthday and quietly reduce your bill as an act of goodwill. Every dollar of relief they extend to you is a dollar of tax revenue they forfeit, so they have no motivation whatsoever to seek you out. A single phone call to your county assessor's office, asking specifically what the over 65 exemption entails and how to submit the application, can freeze or meaningfully reduce the largest bill you pay all year. The third one is your federal income tax, and this is consistently the one that catches people most off guard, because there exists a deeply held belief throughout this country that everyone owes the government something every April, without exception. But for a very large number of older Americans living primarily on Social Security with a modest amount of additional income, the accurate figure owed is zero. The standard deduction increases in the year you turn 65. And beginning with the 2025 tax year, there is now a new additional deduction valued at up to $6,000 for a single individual and up to $12,000 for a married couple, where both spouses have reached age 65. Layer those figures together, and a substantial portion of seniors can legally reduce their federal income tax liability all the way down to nothing. And here is the particularly frustrating twist on this one. Because the problem is not simply a hidden bill, the situation is actually reversed entirely. The law is not requesting money from you. The law is instructing you to keep it. But unless your tax return is completed with those age 65 deductions properly and fully applied, the form quietly defaults to the standard calculation, and you wind up paying a tax you do not owe to a government that never actually requested it. If another person prepares your taxes on your behalf, the single most valuable question you can pose this year is whether your complete age 65 deductions were correctly applied to your return. You are fully and completely entitled to that answer, and there is a time-sensitive dimension to this that most people entirely overlook. As the law currently stands, that $6,000 bonus deduction only exists for 4 tax years, 2025 through 2028, unless Congress chooses to extend it beyond that window. This makes it a claim it every single year, while it remains a available situation, not something to address at some undefined future point. There is also a quieter variation of this identical mistake. Many people, when they initially began receiving Social Security, instructed the government to withhold federal income tax from every monthly payment simply as a precaution, and then a portion of that returns as a refund the following spring. Consider carefully what that truly means. You are allowing the government to hold your money at no interest for an entire year on a tax obligation you may not even carry. If that describes your situation, the solution is to examine your actual numbers and adjust that withholding amount so it accurately reflects what you genuinely owe and not a single dollar beyond that. The fourth one is what you surrender at the pharmacy counter each month. If you did not meet the eligibility requirements for the Medicare Savings Program I described earlier, you can still apply independently for that extra help benefit directly through Social Security, entirely on its own as a standalone application. It reduces what you pay for your medications, your pharmacy co-payments, and the monthly premium on your prescription drug plan. For someone who fills multiple prescriptions every month, this represents the tangible difference between rationing your medication supply and actually filling every prescription as directed. And nobody should be splitting tablets in half to manage expenses while a benefit worth thousands of dollars annually sits there with their name attached to it, requiring nothing more than a completed form to activate. The fifth one is a bill you pay every single month and have in all likelihood never once thought to question, and that is your telephone and your internet service. There is a long-standing federal assistance program called Lifeline that applies a monthly reduction to phone or internet expenses for individuals with modest incomes, or for anyone already participating in certain other assistance programs. It will not eliminate the entire bill, but it removes a set dollar amount every month, month after month, on a service you are going to be paying for regardless of any other circumstances. For someone carefully managing every dollar on a fixed income, a consistent reduction on a bill that never disappears, accumulates quietly and meaningfully across the years. You apply through the official Lifeline system, and then you bring that approved benefit to any participating telephone or internet provider. Now take a step back and examine what every single one of these 5 programs shares in common, because that shared characteristic is the entire explanation for why they remain concealed in plain view. Not one of them deactivates itself on your behalf. The program that covers your Medicare premium sits in silence, waiting until you submit an application. The property tax freeze waits patiently until you file the appropriate paperwork. The deductions that can bring your tax bill to zero only function correctly if the return is prepared with those provisions accurately included. The prescription assistance and the telephone discount both remain completely untouched and uncollected until you reach out and actively claim them. Every single one of these benefits was written into law with the explicit intention of helping you, and every single one was surrounded by just enough procedural complexity that most people abandon the process partway through or never initiate it in the first place. The system is not precisely deceiving you. It is simply constructed on the quiet expectation that you will remain passive and continue paying without inquiry. So here is the only action I am requesting of you. Identify the most significant one for your personal circumstances and pursue it this week without delay. If Medicare is being deducted from your check every month, contact your state about the Medicare Savings Program first, because that is the nearly $8,000 opportunity. If you own your home, call your county assessor's office about the property tax freeze. If you file a federal tax return, verify that the age 65 deductions are genuinely and correctly reflected on it. You do not need to pursue all 5 simultaneously and exhaust yourself in the process. You only need to open one of those doors because the money waiting on the other side has belonged to you the entire time. And before you close this video, think of one specific person in your life who would genuinely never believe any of this is actually real. Someone cautious, someone independent and proud, who has been paying every one of these bills in full for years simply because nobody ever sat down and told them they were not required to. Send this to that person today. There are very few things you can offer another human being that genuinely return real money to their pocket every single month for the remainder of their life. This happens to be one of those rare things, so go ahead and claim everything that was already yours to begin with.